I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. I am so very excited to have my next guest on the show. She is an author, a writer. I mean, she's done so many different wonderful things. Like you have probably seen stuff that she's heard. How do I put this? She is just amazing. And I want to welcome her to the show today. And I want to make sure I say this right. Is it Brandee?
Yes.
Aha, I did it. I said it right. I'm very bad with names sometimes. But Brandee, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, girlfriend. Let me ask you a question. How did you get into this? Because you are doing this a fabulous job.
Getting into like entertainment or
All of it. I mean, how did you get into that? I mean, I know you said you're a writer, right? But
yes.
then like how did you get like from writer to like writer? Because you're like, yeah.
Um, you know, my whole life, like as a kid, high school, college, internships, like weird stuff would just happen to me. And so, even I was doing an internship in New York City and I could go to lunch and come back from lunch and something bizarre would happen. I'd be like, you'll never believe what just happened to me outside of Bryant Park. And then one just started saying like, screw Seinfeld, we're Stilwell. And I've always been very descriptive in everything that I do. And I think that started from when I was a kid. If my mom was in a store shopping and my dad and I would be bored, and we'd be sitting like outside the store, like in like the seats, like in the mall or wherever. And my dad would be like, tell me who this person is. Tell me everything about this person. And, and he always taught me, it was like, don't be mean. You can be funny, but don't ever be mean. And so somebody would like walk by and I would start telling you what kind of car they drove. They have a pet raccoon. His name is Gary. They grew up like 40 miles from here. And this is the first time they've been to the city. And I would just start doing stuff like that. And it helped kind of like launch the imagination, but at the same time, it also killed time while my mom was going up and down every single aisle in the
Oh
store.
gosh.
So yeah.
Wow, that is so cool though. So that kind of started you off on the journey that you're on today. I love, okay, I have to go into your IMDb because I pulled it up and I was like, no. So, I mean, Family Guy. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say it. Family Guy from 2005 to 2010 for 5 years. Tell me about this.
So I had just left Mad TV, where I was the associate post producer from like episode 315 to like episode 922. And so when I went over to Family Guy, I took like a pay cut and a title cut to be like the script supervisor. And so I sat it was just Seth MacFarlane and I in the booth along with the mixer. And we had our own record booth at our office. So we had, I mean, you name it, who came through and would, and every now and then, if one of the actors wasn't available, Seth would be like, go get in the booth with them and record, because they needed someone to bounce off. Mainly if it was a female. If it was male, Seth would do it, or he would do it from inside, our secluded booth. But a lot of times there was like, okay, here's it's just like, so there was one time it was Jason Priestley, Jenny Garth, and Tori Spelling, and they had come in to do like a cutaway. It's like, Peter Stewie being like, do you remember that one time? And so it's a cutaway of 90210. And it was supposed to be with Andrea Zuckerman, but it put Andrea Zuckerman in a poor light. And so Alex Borstein was supposed to play that character. And at the time, Alex was a writer there. And Alex was like, under no circumstance am I going in there to do it. So, and she was a writer and she was in the other room. She's like, I'm not doing that because it's kind of mean spirited. And so Seth was like, Brandee, get in there and do it.
Oh no.
Her as like an old lady. And so I'm in the record booth with Jason Priestley, Jenny Garth, and Tori Spelling doing Andrea Zuckerman. And I remember one of the lines was, gosh, Barbara Stanwyck and I used to take the trolley. There were orange groves as far as the eye could see. And of course, they're just like regular high school kids, like playing, you know, and then Andrea Zuckerman is, you know, Ernest Borgnine and I were at Paramount Stage 12. And it's, you know, and I'm like, oh, like, is this going to offend, you know, because normally if you're going to offend somebody, they're not in the room with you.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was one of the things that's like, Seth is like, you got this, go in there and do it. So there were things like that that would happen. So, but at the same time, you know, you also had like Charles Durning coming in and Phyllis Diller. And, you know, I remember Charles Durning, he always had like sailor knots. He always had rope in his pocket. And he would try and like you just kind of sit there with them because you didn't want them sitting there by themselves. And if it was between, you know, if Seth had gone to the bathroom or something, and Charles would always be like, come look at, you know, I'm going to teach you how to make a sailor knot. And I'm like, you know, the next time I'm on a ship in the Atlantic, I can, you know what, if we are ever on a ship in the Atlantic, I will save us with my rope tying.
You know how to tie a knot.
I know how to tie a knot, thanks to Charles Durning.
Wow. That is really amazing. I mean, get in the booth, Brandee. Just get in there.
Just get in there. Do a temp voice for us. Whatever you.
Oh my gosh.
Brandee will do it.
So we've heard your voice on some of these episodes then.
No, not well, like Walla, or, you know, I mean, more like, because, you know, it's union. And so, of course, if somebody was, you know, like for what I just did, Alex would come in and did it separately, where she didn't have to deal with eyes staring at her. And
okay, I got you.
Didn't care, but she was contracted to do that. So then the editor would just kind of cut in what she had done to that. So I would do temp tracks and Walla. And I think like even like in the movie, the straight to home video, you know, I'm like playing a reporter, like, you know, Stewie over here, like that kind of thing. But you wouldn't be like, oh, that's Brandee.
I gotcha.
I ended up on the cutting room floor for stuff like that. But I would just be part of the process, so the animators and board artists could continue their job until we got Alex back in there to do that part. So.
That is so cool, though. I mean, to be there and to do, what did you feel like being in the room with all those guys? I mean, when it first happened, like the first time.
You know, you kind of feel like, I don't want to, you know, it's like, you know, it's that torment that I have in my head. I can only speak for myself, but, you know, there would be times where you're like, God, am I worthy to be in here with Carrie Fisher? Like, shit, like it's Carrie Fisher. It's Carrie fucking Fisher. It's Princess Leia. And I'm in a room with her. And Betty White, you know, Adam West, you know, just, so on one hand, you're like, this is absolutely amazing. But on the other hand, it's like, I also have to, you know, pretend that I'm professional and, you know, I got to get my job done. So there was a lot of, I'm going to pretend to be professional and I'll freak out on my way home.
That's pretty much the way I do it.
Yeah, in the privacy of my own car where no one else can see it.
And hopefully you're not like, what's his name in the car? What was it called? Just Friends? You know, when he's sitting in the car and he kind of goes in for a hug instead of a kiss or a hug, he shakes her, then he gets in the car and he's freaking out in the car. And then she comes up to the side and she's looking in the window. And I just think those are the different things that happen. That's just so magical when it comes to being a writer. I mean, all of the things that you've done, what is your favorite?
Well, you know, I did some, was a freelance writer for Disney. So there were two things that I did for Disney that I'm just like, one was Star Wars. It was, I took it was for it was just the Walt Disney Company that was in conjunction with Amazon Echo Dot. So it was audio. And they had asked me to take the Choose Your Adventure books. So there's Han and Chewie, Leia and Luke, Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Poe and Finn. And I took those books and then I had to write them out into a script. So when they took the actors into the record booth, it was no longer the narrator, saying Han ran up the he ran into the Millennium Falcon. I wrote the dialogue, narrator, Han ran up the ramp to the Millennium Falcon. And in doing that, there's one of the books that had Jabba the Hutt. So in the book, it's, the narrator would explain what Jabba the Hutt was saying. But for me, I had to write out that dialogue. So I'm creating Huntanese. And, this is before, Mandalorian and before Boba Fett, where you had more hunts in there. So here I am writing Huntanese, and then it had to be sent to Lucasfilm for them to sign off on it. And then they did. And you're like, oh, I just wrote Huntanese. I'm creating my own dialogue.
Wow.
In Huntanese. And then the other one that I did was Zootopia. And that was one of the first things I was hired to do was
Cool.
I had to write 30 sketches for like a sketch a day. And there was another girl that was partnered up with me and she wrote 30, I wrote 30. And then Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman came in and recorded it. And I just freaking love Zootopia. I love the movie Zootopia so much. But I also got to do stuff for The Princess and the Frog, which is also another one of my favorites. And then Cars. Well, I'm not a fan of Cars, but I did 2 of those. And then Nikki and Friends and The Little Mermaid. So yeah,
Oh my gosh.
have people trust me to be like, here is this product, go write it in this voice, and it needs to be absolutely accurate. And then to be able to do that and then have everyone just sign off on it and then go record it, you're like, really? I just did that.
That is amazing. And DC Comics, right?
DC Comics, I created the character Sasquatch Detective, which it came out of improv because I've been doing improv for so long, and I know a lot of people like look down upon improv and stuff like that.
I love improv.
And it's usually, if you see a joke on TV about improv, even if you're watching Stephen Colbert, it's because he's Second City and he did improv for many years. So it's a writer making fun of it because they did it.
Right.
But yeah, I was at IO and somebody had established that we were in the woods, and I just came out from behind a pony wall with this. I had been playing around with a Zooey Deschanel voice. And so I kind of used the Zooey Deschanel voice as this Yeti. And so it came out as a Yeti. And, she had a podcast in the woods, and her family would kidnap campers and make them come in and be the guest for her that only her family would hear, and the local ranger, but he didn't know that it was a Yeti. And so then when I was at Second City and I was in the grad program, one of our assignments, there was 4 men and 4 women on our team. And in the assignment, we were told all 8 of us had to write a sketch that had all 4 women. You could add 1 guy, 2 guys, all guys, could be everybody, but it just had to make sure that the 4 women were featured. And I was driving on my way to WonderCon, which was in Anaheim. And I'm over by Dodger Stadium, and that's like the 110. And there's a sign that says Police Academy Road. And in my head, I'm like, oh, Charlie's Angels. Because if you remember at the beginning of Charlie's Angels, it was once upon a time, 3 little girls went to the police academy. And that was it. And the police academy is just right over there in the bottom of the valley over by Chavez Ravine. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a Charlie's Angels sketch and I'm going to add a Yeti. And so I had done all of that. And then it was our director, Ron West, was like, I think a Sasquatch would be better. And I'm like, and I fought him on it. And then finally, because I'd called her Yeti Detective. And Ron West was like, no, I think Sasquatch Detective just rolls off the tongue better. So I'm like, oh, you're right. Oh, okay. We changed it to Sasquatch Detective. And eventually I named her Tanya because I'd been talking about Tanya Hardy earlier that day. And she was such an underdog and I always like root for the underdog. And so I was just like, I'm naming her Tanya. And then I have Native American roots. So then I gave her the last name Lightfoot. And so she ended up anchoring the grad program at Second City Hollywood. And then a couple of editors from DC Comics were in the audience. And then eventually the publisher from DC Comics showed up and was like, hey, why don't you, I was eventually going to write her as an animated character. And she ended up becoming a comic book. And that's where that came from. Now, kind of going back to like earlier when you're like the biggest freak out and stuff. I'm at DC Comics. And do you know who Gerard Way is? He's the lead singer of My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
And early like 2000s, like 2008, 9, 10, I was so madly in love with My Chemical Romance. And Gerard Way created the Umbrella Academy, which you have on Netflix now. But he was an intern at DC Comics. Then My Chemical Romance, when it was in New York, and then My Chemical Romance took off. And then between kind of like not touring anymore, he started writing again. And so then now you have Umbrella Academy and everything. And so I knew Gerard and I was like, oh, wonder if Gerard would give me an author quote for Sasquatch Detective. And it was always hard for me because I was, 2008, 9, Brandee, madly in love with him. And now he's like in front of me and we're like sort of friends. And when he would see me, it'd always be like, hi, Brandee, and like come in and hug me. And I remember one time I was at San Diego Comic-Con and I was on my lunch and I ran off with a friend of mine who's like a famous voiceover actor. And I am not a big drinker, but I may have had some drinks. And then I had to go back to work. And so the only time in my entire life where I'm like, oh, I'm tipsy. That's not me. That's not who I am, but here I am. And I'm in the green room and there's Gerard. Hey, Brandee.
Oh no, this doesn't sound good.
Oh, and then it's like my boss is over there and I'm like, just trying to like play it off. Like, you know what you're doing, just play it off, pretend it's fine, you're fine. And just like, here it is like hugging Gerard Way. And then, because we're in the green room and it's just like, ink, this is a lot for me to process. And to pretend that I'm sober. And again, that's why I don't drink. I don't. Like, I have to be a responsible adult because no one else is going to be responsible for me. So I don't think Gerard ever knew, my boss, no one knew that I was like, water, chug. Muffin, shove it in my face. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Everything's
gosh.
But yeah, so then Gerard gave me an author quote, and it's on the cover of Sasquatch Detective. And that, it just says, Umbrella Academy, but I'm like, it's My Chemical Romance. And
that is so cool though.
It's hard being an adult, isn't it?
Sometimes I don't want to be an adult.
Yeah.
I don't want an adult.
I don't know. So it's like anytime I would hug Betty White, if I worked with Betty White and then you hug, Gerard Way, it's like, sorry. Be an adult, pretend I'm professional. Again, we'll scream in the car on the way home.
I would have been like, listen, brother man, yeah, when I was younger, I had a major crush on you. Now I just want an author quote.
Thing is, I didn't want to fan like I guess you call it fanboy, but I didn't want to fangirl to him. And I wanted, and so he always treated me like I was an equal instead of like,
I gotcha. You didn't want to spoil that.
No, because there was one time he was signing at the Golden Apple, which is a comic book store here in LA. And I was like, oh, I'll work it. Then I'll work it. Okay, I'll work it. And so I went there, and to watch him interact with fans was it was heartwarming. But did you ever watch 6 Feet Under?
No, I haven't seen it.
So 6 Feet Under, again, is about the Fisher family that ran, it was from HBO, and they ran the funeral home.
Right.
Well, some of the episodes they would always talk about casket jumpers, and they would be like, is someone gonna, they would take kind of bets on like who was gonna jump on the casket and be like, no, you can't leave me. And so we're sitting there and we're like, oh, is this a casket jump? You know, so here's Gerard like signing away, and you have some fans and like, oh no, this one's gonna lose it. This one's gonna, and then they would, and then of course security would run in, and you're like, I called it. And I didn't want to be that person. So it's always like, look at me, your professional friend that's gonna email you tomorrow. Work.
Yeah, I got it, you know. Yeah. And oh my gosh, yeah. You know, there's just so many different things you could have done, but you were an adult.
I was an adult.
And
I was adulting.
Yes, you did great. And are you guys still friends today?
I assume so. I don't work at DC anymore. So I haven't seen him, you know, and then there's the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I have tickets to see him. And then my friend Cecil, I was going to call him and be like, hey, we should come backstage. I'm like, yeah, call him and tell him we should come backstage. I mean, I do have his number in here, but I can't. I can't because.
Okay. But you have a new book out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about it. And now, wait, you're obligated to tell me if you get it or not.
If I get it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will definitely. I will track.
Let me know.
I did it.
Okay.
From my podcast therapy that I received from you. Thank you. And I'm sure my therapist, who's probably listening, is like, yes, Brandee.
See, you can do this, Brandee. You can do this. You can do this, girl.
And Dr. Lisa is not. She'd be proud.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your new comic, your new book. Is it a comic book? Is it a book?
No, none of this is going according to plan. Originally, we were calling it Jesus Hates Me, but My Mother Tolerates Me, 70 Short Stories to give you a vague idea why. And everyone loved the title except my mother. Okay. And so I pivoted, and now it's called None of This is Going According to Plan. And going back as a kid, my dad used to, and this is not a good thing, but my dad used to introduce me as his daughter that had the black cloud that followed her everywhere she went, because bizarre stuff happened. So again, going back to like internshipping in New York, random stuff would happen. And I am that friend that can, you know, we're all having dinner and I get up to use the bathroom and someone has just mopped the floor, but they didn't put a sign up. So I hit the water and I slide under a stall, soaking wet, staring at some woman on a toilet.
Oh
no! Yes, stuff like this happens to me.
Oh
no! Time. And then I have to come back and I'm like soaking wet. And then you're like, hey, everybody, did I miss anything?
Oh, my poor girl. Brandee, I'm so sorry.
And so you just learn that this is a normal thing. And so again, you know, when I worked in New York, everybody would be like, screw Seinfeld, where's Brandee? Other like, where's Stilwell? And so my whole life, I'm like, you don't even know how many journals and books and stuff I have. And I would, if I was in the middle of a bad breakup and it's like, I'm not going out this weekend because I'm sad or I have acne, I would write down the story that had happened. I would write down this, and friends would be like, oh, do you remember the time when you did this? And I'm like, oh God, oh yes, I did. Let me write that down. And so now it's 60, and it's already 424 pages. It's a lot. 60 stories, 60 chapters. So it's kind of like a Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, David Sedaris, but it's like, I call it a toilet reader because every story is told by itself, has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Some are maybe 7 pages, the next might be 12, the next might be 8. It's just however long it took me to tell it. And I wanted to tell it in a way that if you are sitting on the toilet, I'm sitting on the bathtub next to you. And then I'm like, and then this happened, and then this happened. Or if you're on the bus, if you're on the subway, if you're trying to fall asleep at night, I am sitting on your dresser. Okay, girl, then this happened. And so, yeah, it's just random stuff that you're like, there is no way this just happened. And then you're like, oh yeah, this happened. And then, yeah. So, and again, there were 8 stories that we cut right before it went to the printer. And then it's already been greenlit for a sequel. And then I've started writing the sequel, and there's probably like 45 stories in the next one. And there's some of them that I'm like, oh yeah, this happened. Let me put this down over here. And when I have time, I need to write this all out. And you're like, oh God. So it's like a lot of shame and embarrassment, but it's all about, you know what happened? The milk spilled. There's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well make light of it and move forward. And it's all about, if you get knocked down 7 times, you gotta get back up 8.
Yep.
I've been knocked down a lot.
But
here. I am still
but
here.
you're still here. And oh my gosh, what a story you have to tell.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you tell people, that something is always happening to them, just like you? What do you tell these people? Should they write these down and become an author as well?
Absolutely. Because I don't care who you are. Everyone has a story to tell. Everybody. And, and it's how you handle it, I guess. And again, a lot of these things, in my late 20s, I had like this skin disease or whatever. And if my face had flared up and I would be too embarrassed to go out, and it was just like, I would justify it and be like, well, I have to write this weekend. So I would stay in and write. But I think everybody is important and everyone has a story that matters. And the thing is that everyone's different, because even if you have like a plant, let's say you have a plant and you give 10 people 10 cameras and you have each one take a picture, everyone's going to be different. Not one picture is going to be identical, whether it's because of their height, whether it's because of the angle that they chose to take. So every picture is going to be unique. And so that's why I would always say, do it, sit down and write it, get it out of your system. And if you can help somebody else in the process, I mean, come on, I make bad decisions a lot. And sometimes, I'm like, okay, well, I won't ever do that again. But then there's a new one that's a little bit different, and then I make that decision poorly too. It's like going to Target and, people always stop at like the first checkout, like, no, go to the back. But then I go and I do that. And then just as you put your stuff down, they flip the light on and you're like, oh, I chose wrong again.
That's that happens to me too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Brandee, where can people find your book?
None of this is going according to plan. Is available on Amazon.com, and it's also, I think you can order it online at barnesandnoble.com.
Awesome. We're gonna put that information in the description box below so that it'll be easy for you guys to find it, so that you don't have to go searching, and all of her information. Brandee, you're a wonderful girlfriend. I love you. I love you.
I had fun.
Oh, see, we had a great time. And now you have to have your 30 seconds of craziness. You have to do it. I mean, if you literally can fall on water where there's no sign and go under a stall and then say hi to the person using the bathroom and come out, you can definitely email this guy and tell him, hey, I got
I
another
have
book. I
so
need,
many,
come
so
on.
many bathroom horror stories. Because there was another time where
No.
I fell in the water at a McDonald's because I had to pee on a way to an improv class.
How did you
And
fall? What water?
they cleaned the thing and in the bathroom was standing up in the McDonald's because I had to stop and I'm like, oh, there's a McDonald's. I'm going to go in and pee really quick before I get to class. And the one time that this ever happened, there is like a trust game in improv called the pretzel where so I get to class. I've already fallen in the bathroom at McDonald's a couple blocks away, and my back and the back of my hair is soaking wet. I'm gross. I'm like big, like I'm a portable swamp. And I get into this, the first thing we do, I'm like, okay, it's just as long as I can keep my back to everyone. No one will have any idea that this has taken place. Right off the bat, the one and only time in my entire life we're like, let's play the pretzel game. So there's like 15 of us, and everyone, you put your hand in a pile. Like everyone goes into the middle and you grab hands, but you don't know whose hand you have. But now you have to twist yourself out and go in and out between arms and stuff until
No.
you can come out like this. And
No.
I am like the second to the third to last one to go. And so I'm going under people's arms and stuff, and they're like, who's wet? I remember someone asking, like, who's wet? And that would be me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
Andy.
maybe
Yeah.
they will notice. They did. And it's the only time I've ever played the game. So
Girlfriend.
and I
I
had
tell you.
bathroom like cesspool on my back from McDonald's in Hollywood, mind you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure there's
Oh.
other McDonald's that are cleaner, but the McDonald's in Hollywood, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Or the water from the floor on your back or in your hair.
Ah. Oh my gosh, Brandee, but I mean, at least we can laugh about this now, and you're not
Yes,
going to
we
get mad at me,
can
so we can
because
laugh about this. So,
why not? I mean, and so that's what the book is. It's just ridiculous things that are happening that have happened. I mean, for example,
now these things have happened to you?
this is true. This is a book of true short stories.
No way.
All of this is true. And again, that's why there's a sequel, but the sequel won't be out for a while. But
Oh my gosh.
so this is like, none of this is going according to plan. And do you remember the movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yes.
So then there was the sequel that was like, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the sequel, is still none of this is going according to plan.
It still isn't going to plan.
To give you a quick idea. Okay, so this is my 1958 Vindo Coke machine that my mom gave me. If you read the book, you'll understand the Coca-Cola weirdness. And so even a couple of weeks ago, like a friend of mine had given me a good luck candle. It's like this expensive, really nice good luck candle. And the only place in my apartment that my cats can't get to is the Coke machine. And it's like 5 feet tall. I'm like 5'6". And I had this good luck candle and I had it going on the Coke machine. And I had thrown a Hail Mary to somebody, sent an email, and then I walked over to the Coke machine, to the good luck candle, to give it a pep talk. To, like, hey, if you could kind of speed things up, I'd really appreciate. And I don't even get to appreciate when I hear this weird loud noise and it sounds like something is sliding off the wall. And I'm like looking around for it when I smell my hair on fire because I had leaned into the candle.
No.
I don't panic because it's me and you're like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
So I run in the bathroom and I'm hitting my head and everything.
No.
And then the sink is just covered in like black ash and hair. I took pictures. But I just stood there and I couldn't stop laughing because the fire's out. But now I have hair damage. It grow back. I'm not dating anyone. I have no one to impress right now. And it will grow back because it's hair.
But you didn't notice that your hair was in the candle on fire?
No, I just heard it. And then you could smell it. And it smelled like a 1980s Ogilvy home perm. And a friend of mine came over afterwards and was like, the hell is that smell? And I'm like, oh, it's my DNA. Was in the sink. And I'm like, I have pictures. I can show you. I may have Instagrammed.
Oh,
I did actually. I did. I Instagrammed it. It was
no,
the
no,
candle
no.
and
Is
the
it on your Instagram page?
yeah. There's hair and
What's your Instagram page? Real quick. What is it? We gotta
it's
get it. We gotta get a picture of this. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. No, you didn't. I am just, hold on. I
here.
have to. Okay. What is it?
I am Brandee, Brandee _ Stilwell, Stilwell is my Instagram page. And let's see, how far back was this? This was a couple of weeks ago. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
Okay, I'm trying to find it.
So here it is. It was from February 3rd is the picture of the candle, and then my sink with all my hair and ash in it.
Oh my gosh, I can't even find it.
It's a candle is the first one.
No, I
and
can't find your Instagram.
Actually it's a cover of the book with the none of this is going according to plan.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
And scroll down to February 3rd, and there's a picture of the candle, the good luck candle, the culprit.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm going there. I'm going there. Hold on.
And then the sink with all of my charred hair and remains.
Okay, so I'm looking for February. So I'm going down now. Okay, I'm looking for it. Hold on. I don't know how to get to February though,
It's
but
between a picture of the La Brea tar pits at sunset and a picture of me with short red hair from
okay, I see it.
University of Kansas.
Okay, so I see the candle.
Ah.
I see the candle. Give me 1 second. This is, I mean, I've never met anyone like you. I'm not gonna lie. I've never met anyone like you, and you are just to me amazing. To even like, I mean, the things that happen to you are just. Look at your hair. Oh my gosh, look at your hair.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Brandee, no, you have to be more careful.
I didn't see it. I heard,
Oh
and
my
again, it sounded like something sliding off, but now it's like, it sounds like the tail of a firework, like.
Oh my gosh, Brandee, I'm taking pictures of this. We have got to put this up.
And
As you guys, I'm
I
taking
was,
pictures of this, but you're seeing it right now on the
it,
screen. Brandee, you have got to be careful. Wait, I have to put what you just did to update. Oh my God, I can't stop laughing. My good luck candle just set my hair on fire.
yeah.
Oh no.
Seriously,
Oh no.
I have to go through life with like a helmet and safety gloves. So yeah,
Oh
and
my
it's amazing
gosh.
I'm still alive.
It is amazing. You're still like, I have to put this. I have to put this. Oh my gosh. I'm going to definitely put this because this is, you know what this is? To me, this is amazing. It's like your life is literally the reason why you're so successful.
I mean, it's it's one of those things that's like you sometimes you write what you know, and I know this very well. Again, it's over 400 pages, and there's a sequel, and it's all true. But it's also, I'm thankful that my dad taught me as a kid to like look at something and create, like,
Right.
who is this person? And so
Mm-hmm.
when Disney is like, go write 30 sketches on Zootopia. And once you watch the movie a couple of times and you understand who this character is, they would do this, but they wouldn't do that. Then you know how to like kind of like write for them in that voice, and every character is going to be different. But then this is always a go-to of like, well, yeah, that just happened. But again, the funny thing is with the candle, I didn't cry. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. At no
Wow.
point, if I was 20, I would have cried for a week and not, but now as a lot of adulting under my belt, I'm like, the milk is spilled. It's
Yeah.
over. Let's wipe it up. Let's move forward. And it's hilarious. So, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to write a book about it.
It's your perspective,
That's
are
right.
you going to let the bad things that happen to you like keep you down, or are you going to pivot and be like, all right, well, that happened and it's hilarious? And again, it's
Right.
all about the way you tell it too. So,
Definitely. Well,
it,
Brandee, wow. Girl, just be careful. No more good looking candles. Okay. No, I don't think they're good luck for you. Just don't do that, okay?
I mean, my
I'm
dad,
glad.
if we were at the beach, he's like, Brandee, walk over here because the pigeon's gonna shit on you. And then it would. And then, or he would like get like downdraft of it, like hitting me, and you're like, and you're like, all right, it's good luck, right? I mean, who else does that happen to? It's good luck, and it's how you spin it. You just
I
gotta
would,
spin it in
oh
your
my
favor.
gosh. I would love to hang out with you because I would just love to see it. It would just be amazing. I would just like a camera all day, every day, right behind you because it's just unbelievable. But you have a book to
Someone
prove
across
it.
someone across the room opening like celebratory like bottle like champagne, the cork will hit me in the head from across.
No. Oh my gosh. Brandee, oh my gosh. But you're amazing. And your book is all true stories about things that have happened to you and it just not going to plan. And that's just the way it is. And we're going to have that information in the description box below. This has been an amazing interview. I so much love you so much. It's just,
Thank you.
you're just wonderful, pleasant, and I can't wait to hear more about you. So write that second book, hurry up. Well, I mean, you can't hurry up. Don't hurry up because these things are true. I mean, you may not survive this. So don't do that. But we love you here at Dream Chasers Radio. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much. Don't forget that we're having Brandee's information in the description box below. And if you want to follow her on Instagram, obviously you've already seen the pictures. Just go ahead and rewind. You get it. Or we're going to put that in the description box below so that you can keep up with her. Just don't tell her to hurry up because she just may not survive the next one. And we just want her to do that, and we want to be on your adventures too. So, follow her on Instagram, and I'm sure that she puts up her adventures on there as well. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, Brandee girl. Oh my gosh.
Okay, can I put my hair back up? I did.